Clinton visited a produce processing plant in Norwalk, Iowa, and during a roundtable with small business owners, she continued to paint with broad strokes, emphasizing her campaign's feedback-first approach.
In this campaign, I will be offering specific ideas about how to help small businesses, how to jumpstart them, how to grow them. But I need to hear from you, because what are the skills you need? Who are the people that you're trying to recruit? And what are the challenges that you are facing? I'll have a lot more to say about this as the campaign goes forward, but before I roll out my policies, I want to hear from people who are on the front lines.
The most specific policy announcement out of the Clinton camp yesterday came in the form of a statement clarifying her views on same-sex marriage. It reads, quote, Hillary Clinton supports marriage equality and hopes the Supreme Court will come down on the side of same-sex couples being guaranteed that constitutional right. That goes a step further than what she told NPR 11 months ago when she said same-sex marriage laws should be decided state by state. The announcement prompted a swift response from former Maryland governor and possible Democratic challenger Martin O'Malley, who released this ad just hours after the Clinton campaign released its statement.
History celebrates profiles in courage, not profiles in convenience. The dignity of every person tells us that the right to marry is not a state right, it is a human right.
And so it begins.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this rollout, Hillary rollout?
I think it's a smart way to go. It's just
unfiltered.
Well, that's what I said yesterday. I like the idea of a low-key approach. I like the idea of going and listening to people. But I think she knows what her policies and her standing is on issues. And I think that it seems a little canned at this point. And again, like a phone call to Elizabeth Warren or other people who have tapped into that message that is really, you know, resonating with people. It just feels like it's not coming from her gut. And it feels like she has to really take on Wall Street. She has to take on some of the big areas where she's got some conflated activity with.
By name.
Yeah.
By name. Yeah. I mean, it does seem a little staged, Mike Barnacle, but they're rolling out.
Could be worse.
You know,
could be worse. I do like
the Sunday tape. That was fine. It was. You know,
fine.
I'm running for president. Her larger problem, I think, is, and you can see it in just what we saw this morning. She has basically been living in a protective cocoon for 30 years.
Right.
She needs a primary to get in shape. She needs a spring training version of presidential primary. She's got to have.
I actually was thinking that as I was watching her sitting around, sort of that stiff Willie. Yeah. I mean, it was just the opposite of what you see in New Hampshire. You see Chris Christie, people jabbing at him. You jab back. It's like I said after. Last week in the Carly Fiorina interview where Mika and Carly went at it, I said, you know what? If you're good, and she is, that actually is good for a candidate. Mm-hmm. If somebody jabs and you can jab back, people go, okay.
Yeah. Right.
Hillary looks in these early stages, and it's really early, like she's shadowboxing. I was thinking the same thing as Mike.
Controlled.
She really needs a strong competitor to sharpen her up, make her better.
Town hall or two wouldn't hurt.
I think she'll get Martin O'Malley. She might get Jim Webb. She'll get a couple people who are sharpening her up a little bit. I think the whole, at least optically, the van trip with the small entourage and all that, just from a purely superficial point of view, was supposed to be, this is a new Hillary, she's more accessible. Now she actually has to be new and has to be accessible. And you'd love to see her be able to just step up to the rope line, answer a few questions from voters, answer some questions from the press.
But like just real voters, not people picked as staged.
And Harold, at some point, I would think she's probably going to have a press conference where it's not managed and controlled at the United Nations. At some point, she's going to have to hold a town hall meeting where she just stands there like most other candidates.
I'd love to see it.
And actually answer questions, all the answers they throw at her. Is she capable? Can't she do that? Is she capable of doing that?
I think she's clearly capable of doing it, and I think that, to your point, all the points made earlier, I agree. They've got to kind of let her go a little bit and let her. I mean, she's the big, experienced, qualified candidate the Democrats want, including me. Let's let our best candidate and our best athlete get out there and take a few blows and catch some balls. I watched her in the last few days, and I agree with everything that's been said. She needs to be pushed around a little bit. Needs needs to have some tougher pitching come her way. I mean, I'd love to hear her talk a little more about, you know, a new compact between the American people and business, between the American people and government, between business and government, and how we raise wages. I think people are waiting to hear that, and hopefully if she gets in the settings that you all have described, she'll be forced to do more of that. I agree with you, Mika, around those points.
Yeah, and Mika, I will say that if you're a Bush or you're a Clinton in 2016, and your families have had a stranglehold on American politics for a quarter of a century, and you want to have a stranglehold on American politics for another decade, you better put yourself out there. Because it's not going to be pretty if you don't.
It's not
You're going to have to be real. You're going to have to answer every question they ask you. And if you think you're going to play it safe as a Bush or a Clinton in 2016, you've got another thing coming.
And who thinks she can't do this? That's the part I don't.
She can.
She can.
The question is, will she? She did when her back was against the wall in 2008. She was extraordinary.
Don't stop her when she's got back again.
But as a front runner, she's very managed and stiff and awkward.